Imagine losing a parent. You are grieving. You are dealing with the funeral, the family, and the emotional wreckage. Then you are handed the keys to their house. It is old, it needs work, and it is full of 40 years of memories and furniture. You assume you have time. You assume you can take a year to sort through their belongings, maybe do some painting, and get it ready for sale. You assume wrong. While you were grieving, a clock was ticking. A silent, invisible clock set by your local council. Suddenly, a letter arrives. It demands £9,000. It says your council tax has just doubled, tripled, or even quadrupled because the property has been empty for too long. You argue that you just inherited it. They don't care. You argue that you are renovating it. They don't care. The council has a deficit to fill, and your family home is their new cash cow. Welcome to the era of the empty homes premium. This is the most aggressive tax grab in the history of British housing. Under the new Levelling Up and Regeneration Act, councils have been given draconian powers to seize money from anyone who owns a property that isn't fully occupied. They have slashed the grace period from 2 years down to just 1 year. They have authorised tax hikes of up to 300%, and they are targeting everyone: grieving families, property investors, people in hospital, and anyone trying to renovate a fixer-upper. If your house doesn't have a heartbeat inside it, the government treats it like a crime scene, and the fine is bankruptcy. In this video, I am going to expose the 1-year trap. I will explain how the new legislation works and why buying a house that has been empty for 11 months is the biggest financial mistake you can make in 2026. I will reveal the second home slaughter, where even furnished holiday homes are being hit with double tax bills to force owners to sell. And I will explain why councils like Birmingham, Nottingham, and Bristol are using this law not to solve homelessness, but to pay off their own bad debts. You absolutely must watch this video until the very last second. Do not skip a single chapter, because in the second half of this video, I am going to hand you the Exemption Bible. I will reveal the furnishing loophole, a legal trick involving a table and a chair that can reset the clock and save you thousands. I will explain the probate shield and how long it actually lasts before the taxman comes knocking. And I will tell you about the Prohibition Order strategy, where making your house legally uninhabitable might actually save your wallet. If you leave early, you are leaving thousands of pounds on the table. Stick around, because part 2 is your survival guide. Before we dive into the numbers that are ruining homeowners, I have a massive favour to ask. The government relies on your ignorance to collect these taxes. They don't advertise the exemptions. We are the only channel digging into the fine print to protect your assets. Please, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It takes 2 seconds. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps us break through the algorithm and warn more families before the council seizes their savings. Thank you. Now, let's look at the trap. To understand why this is happening, we have to look at the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act. Before this act, if a house was empty and unfurnished, you typically had 2 years before the council could charge you a premium. 2 years is a reasonable amount of time to get probate, find a builder, get planning permission, and fix a roof. But the government decided that was too generous. They changed the definition of long-term empty from 2 years to 1 year. Think about what that means in the real world. 1 year goes by in a flash in the UK property market. If you buy a house at auction today, it might take you 4 months just to get the legal pack sorted and complete, the sale. Then you apply for planning permission to build an extension. That takes another 4 months if the council is fast, which they never are. You are now at 8 months. You have 4 months left to find a builder, strip the house, rewire it, plaster it, and move someone in. If you miss that deadline by a single day, bang! Your council tax bill doubles. But here is the gotcha that catches out 90% of investors. The clock does not reset. This is the most dangerous part of the legislation. The empty time is attached to the property, not the owner. Let me repeat that because it is critical. The clock tracks the house, not you. Example: a house has been empty for 11 months because the previous owner died and the family was arguing over the will. You buy it today. You think, I have just bought it, surely I get a fresh start. No. You have exactly 1 month before the empty home's premium kicks in. You inherit the previous owner's empty time. You could complete the purchase on Monday and on Tuesday receive a bill for double council tax. This effectively destroys the business model of buying fixer-uppers. You are buying a tax liability, and the estate agents? They often forget to tell you how long the property has been empty. It is not on the Rightmove listing. You have to ask the council specifically, and half the time they won't tell you because of data protection. It is a trap designed to catch you out. Now, let's talk about the 300% figure. You might think, double tax is bad, but I can handle it. Can you handle quadruple tax? The law allows councils to charge a 100% premium after 1 year. But if a property remains empty, that premium goes up. After 5 years, it is a 200% premium, triple tax. After 10 years, it is a 300% premium, quadruple tax. So it's it. If you own a Band G property in the southeast, your normal bill might be £3,500 at £100. With a 300% premium, you are paying £14,000 a year just to keep the property. That is more than a mortgage. That is more than the property appreciates in value. It is a confiscation of wealth. And with the new rules, councils are aggressively reviewing empty periods to push people into these higher brackets faster. They are using data matching, utility bills, and even neighbours' reports to prove the house has been empty longer than you say. We also have to discuss the second home attack. This is separate from the empty homes premium, but it is part of the same war on property owners. The Act allows councils to charge a 100% premium on dwellings occupied periodically. That translates to holiday homes. If you have a cottage in Cornwall or a flat in London that you stay in during the week for work, the council can now charge you double tax. In Wales, they have gone even further. Councils in Wales have the power to charge a 300% premium on second homes right now. Imagine buying a retirement cottage in Pembrokeshire, budgeting for a £2,000 tax bill and getting hit with an £8,000 bill. The market for holiday homes in Wales has collapsed because of this, and English councils are watching closely. They are implementing the double tax in 2025 and 2026. This is forcing a fire sale. People are dumping their holiday homes because the holding costs are astronomical. This destroys the value of your asset. If you try to sell, nobody wants to buy it because they know they will get hit with the same tax. You are trapped in an asset that costs a fortune to hold and is losing value every day. Why are they doing this? The official line is, to bring empty homes back into use to solve the housing crisis. It sounds noble. It sounds like they are fighting for the homeless. But that is a lie. If they wanted to solve the housing crisis, they would fix the planning system. They would build more social housing. They would stop immigration from outpacing supply. But those things cost money. Taxing you makes money. Look at the state of local government finances. Birmingham City Council declared Section 114 bankruptcy. Woking, Nottingham, Thurrock, they are all broke. They made bad investments in shopping centres and solar farms and they lost billions. Now, they need to plug the black hole. The empty homes premium is free money for them. It requires zero effort. They just change a code on a computer and your bill doubles. They are addicted to this revenue. They don't want you to move into the house. They want you to pay the premium. If every empty home was suddenly occupied tomorrow, the councils would lose millions in revenue. They are incentivised to keep the system complicated and punitive. Let's look at the nightmare scenario of probate. When someone dies, the property is exempt from council tax for as long as probate is being granted and for 6 months after. That sounds fair, but have you tried to get probate recently? The probate registry is in meltdown. It can take 16 weeks, 20 weeks, sometimes a year just to get the paperwork. Once probate is granted, the clock starts ticking fast. You have 6 months to sell or transfer the property. In the current market, selling a house that needs renovation in 6 months is a tall order. Chains collapse, mortgage rates are high, so buyers are scarce. If you hit that 6-month deadline and the house hasn't sold, you go from paying zero tax to paying full tax, and then potentially premium tax shortly after. We are seeing beneficiaries, people who have just lost a parent, being forced to take out loans to pay the council tax on a house they haven't even inherited the money from yet. It creates forced sellers. Vultures circle these probate properties, offering 50% of the value because they know the beneficiaries are desperate to offload the tax. Liability. And what about renovators? You are the good guys. You are taking a derelict, rot-infested house that nobody wants, and you are turning it into a family home. You are solving the housing crisis. Does the government reward you? No, they punish you. In the past, there was a Class A exemption, a 12-month discount for major structural repairs. Most councils have abolished this. Now, you pay full tax from day one of the renovation. And if the renovation takes more than a year, which it often does with major structural work, underpinning or finding good tradespeople, you get hit with the premium. I spoke to a developer in Manchester who bought an old Victorian terrace. It needed a new roof, new floors, everything. He was 11 months into the project. He had scaffolding up. He was spending thousands on materials. Then the letter arrived. The council said, "This house has been empty for 12 months. You now owe 200% tax." He tried to explain that it was a building site, that nobody could live there. They said, "Is it substantially unfurnished?" "Yes." "Is it unoccupied?" "Yes, pay us." He had to rush the job, cut corners and put a tenant in before it was fully ready, just to stop the bleeding. The quality of housing suffers because the tax system discourages doing a proper job. The definition of empty is also a battleground. What counts as empty? If you leave a bed and a sofa in there, is it furnished? The rules are vague, and different councils interpret them differently. Some councils say a house is furnished only if it is ready for immediate occupation, meaning cutlery in the drawers, curtains on the windows. Others are more lenient. But if you get it wrong, they backdate the bill. They will send an inspector to look through the window. If they see an empty room, they trigger the premium retroactively. You could owe 2 years of back taxes instantly. Now, it is time to fight back. The council relies on you being passive. They rely on you assuming that if the bill arrives, it must be correct. It often isn't. And even if it is, there are legal mechanisms to pause, reset, or completely eliminate that liability. Let's start with the nuclear option for renovators, delisting. If you are buying a property that is in a terrible state, I mean missing floorboards, no kitchen, no bathroom, maybe a hole in the roof, you should not be paying council tax at all. Council tax is a tax on domestic dwellings. If a property is not fit for human habitation, it is technically not a dwelling. It is a brick shell. However, councils will lie to you. They will tell you, "Oh, you can get a 25% discount for renovation." Do not accept that. That is crumbs. You want the property removed from the valuation list entirely. To do this, you don't talk to the council. You talk to the VOA, Valuation Office Agency. You need to send them evidence, photos of the missing staircase, the exposed wiring, the lack of sanitation, and request a deletion from the rating list. If they agree, your council tax bill drops to zero, literally zero. and it stays at 0 until the property is substantially completed. This stops the empty homes premium clock dead in its tracks because there is no tax to apply the premium to. But be warned, the VOA has become stricter. Just needing modernisation isn't enough. It has to be uninhabitable. If you have a toilet and a sink, they will say it is livable. So, smart developers know exactly what to remove first. I'm not telling you to smash up your own house, but if you are doing a rip-out anyway, make sure you take out the essential services before you take the photos for the VOA. It is a game of chess. Now let's talk about the 6-week rule. This is the most famous loophole, and the government is trying to close it, but it still works in England for now. The law states that for a property to be classed as long-term empty, it must be empties, continuously. If the property is occupied for a period of 6 weeks or more, the empty clock resets to 0. Here is how investors use this. They have a house that is approaching the 1-year deadline where the premium kicks in. They pause the renovation. They move some furniture in. They move a tenant in, often a friend or a guardian, for 6 weeks and 1 day. They pay standard council tax for those 6 weeks. Then the tenant moves out. Because the property was occupied for more than 6 weeks, the clock resets. You now have a fresh empty period before the premium kicks in again. But you have to be careful. Councils are wise to this. They will ask for proof. They want utility bills showing energy usage. They want a signed tenancy agreement. If they suspect it is a sham occupation, they will deny the reset and you will face a fraud investigation. Do not fake it. It has to be real. But if you legitimately occupy the property for 6 weeks during the build, you can save yourself thousands in future premiums. Let's discuss the furnishing grey area. What is the difference between an empty house and a second home? A second home pays standard tax, or double in Wales, but an empty home pays triple or quadruple eventually. You want to avoid the long-term empty status at all costs. The difference is furniture. If a property is substantially furnished, it is not empty. It is a second home. The premium for second homes is coming, as we discussed, but in many councils it hasn't started yet, or it is lower than the 300% empty premium. So, simply putting furniture in the property can shift you from a penalty category to a standard category. What counts as furnished? A table and a chair are not enough. The general legal test is, could someone live here today? You need a bed, a wardrobe, a table, chairs, a sofa, and white goods, fridge/cooker. You can buy a furniture pack from a charity shop for £500. That £500 investment could save you a £5,000 tax bill. Again, take photos, send them to the council. State clearly, this property is now a furnished dwelling. Force them to reclassify it. Now, a critical warning for probate cases. I mentioned that you get a 6-month exemption after probate is granted. But what happens on day 1 of month 7? Most people assume you just start paying normal tax. Wrong. In many councils, the empty clock has been ticking in the background. If the house was empty for 2 years before the owner died, maybe they were in a care home, the moment that probate exemption ends, the council might hit you with the full accumulated premium immediately. You need to check the history of the property. If your parent was in a care home, the property should have been exempt under Class E, patient in a care home. Make sure that exemption was applied correctly. If the council marked it as just empty instead of Class E, the clock has been running for years and you are about to inherit a massive bill. Audit the account. Go back 5 years if you have to. If they made a mistake, demand a refund. We also need to talk about annexes. Often, a house comes with a granny flat that has its own council tax band. If the annex is empty, the council will try to charge the empty home's premium on the annex and the main house. This is madness. But there is an exemption. If the annex is difficult to let separately, for example, you have to walk through the main kitchen to get to it, it is exempt from council tax if it is empty. This is the Class T exemption. They will never tell you this. You have to tell them. This is a Class T annex. Cancel the bill. The Prohibition Order strategy is the final line of defence. If a property is dangerous, structural collapse, asbestos, severe damp, the local authority environmental health team can issue a prohibition order. This order makes it illegal for anyone to live there. Here is the magic. If it is illegal to live there, it is exempt from council tax, Class G. This is perverse. You are effectively asking one department of the council, environmental health, to ban you from your own house so that another department, council tax, cannot charge you. It is risky. Once you have a prohibition order, it stays on the record and can make it hard to get a mortgage or insurance. But if you are facing a £10,000 tax bill on a ruin, it is a valid option to stop the bleeding while you fix it. Ultimately, the empty homes premium is a blunt instrument. It hurts the wrong people. It hurts the accidental landlords, the grieving families, and the small developers who are trying to improve the housing stock. The big corporate developers don't care. They build and sell fast. It is the little guy who gets crushed. The government says this is about fairness. But is it fair to charge a widow triple tax because she isn't emotionally ready to clear out her husband's room? Is it fair to charge a developer double tax because the council's own planning department took a year to approve the permits? No. It is theft. It is the state punishing you for owning an asset. You need to be proactive. Check the empty date. Before you buy, find out exactly when the clock started. Use the VOA. If it's a wreck, get it deleted. Reset the clock. Use the 6-week rule legitimately if you need more time. Furnish it. Don't leave it bare if furnishing saves you the premium. The housing market in 2026 is a minefield. One wrong step and you lose your profit. One ignored letter and you lose your savings. Stay alert. I want to hear your stories in the comments. Has your council hit you with a double bill? Have you successfully used the VOA deletion strategy? Or are you stuck in the probate trap right now? Share your experience below. We need to crowdsource this knowledge because the mainstream media isn't covering it. And please, if this video saved you from a tax nightmare, hit that like button. It helps us fight the algorithm and reach more people. Make sure you are subscribed. In my next video, I am going to expose the Japanese knotweed myth and reveal the real garden plant that is silently destroying foundations and causing banks to decline mortgages across the UK. Hint, it's not what you think. You cannot afford to miss that. Until then, check your dates, secure your property, and I will see you in the next one.